everybody. This is the video that goes along with our similar polygons. So this is the notes for the similar polygons. Now don't forget, if you watch this video and then fill out your notes, you can get some extra credit. So definitely use this video to get some extra credit. It'll definitely help some grades. So when we're doing similar polygons, we have to remember that similar polygons have the same shape, different size. So since they have the same shape, our angles are going to be congruent. So the angles have to match up, but then our sides are going to be proportional. And this is why we spent time last week looking at proportions, because this entire section involves proportions. So remember, a proportion is a fraction that equals a fraction. So on this first one, I've got these two different rectangles. And I want to set up two different fractions to see if this is proportional. Now you've got to get them lined up right. So 5 is the smallest number here. 30 is the smallest number here. So I'm going to scratch that. 5 is the smallest number. 15 is the smallest number. So 5 over 15. And I want to see if that's going to be equal to 6 over 30. I want to see if this matches up. Now, there's a lot of different ways you can check this, but probably the easiest way is just to grab your calculator. Divide this to see what the decimal is. So 5 divided by 15, I get 0.3 repeating. 6 divided by 30, I get 0.2. Well, 0.3 isn't the same thing as 0.2. So therefore, these are not equal. So therefore, these are not proportional, which means these are not similar. So if you get two different numbers, they're not similar. So number 2 here. Again, you've got to make sure this gets lined up right. So I've got the sides of the trapezoids that are 13 over the sides of the trapezoids, 15.6. Now I've got both bases. I'm going to take the smaller base, which is 20, and put it over the smaller base, which is 24. And then finally, the bigger base, 30, over the bigger base, 36. So in this case, because I had a trapezoid, I have 3 different fractions, because there's 3 different numbers in my shape. So again, I'm going to take my calculator. 13 divided by 15.6, I get 0.83 repeating. 20 divided by 24, I get 0.83 with the 3 repeating. 30 divided by 36, the exact same thing. So all 3 of these numbers were identical, and all of them have to match. And if they do match, my shape is similar. So these 2 trapezoids are similar. They are similar. So if you end up with different numbers, they're not similar. If you end up with the same number, they are. Now the next 2 problems are the exact same thing. So let me move to the next 2. 3 and 4. You've got to make sure it gets lined up. So the 15, I'm going to line up with the 10. Because the 15 is the smallest one on this side. The 10 is the smallest one on this side. So 15 over 10. Which means 24 and 16 is the other fraction. So now I've got 2 fractions, and I want to see what they're equal. 15 divided by 10, 1.5. 24 divided by 16, I get 1.5. So I get the exact same value. So they are equal. So therefore, it is similar. So these 2 rectangles are similar. They are similar. Number 4 is kind of like number 2. I've got 3 things I'm going to have to set up. 10 is the smallest one. 8's the smallest. So I'm going to go 10 over 8. 20.8, 11.9, those are the sides. So 20.8, 11.9. And then finally, my bigger base, 24/16. So there's my three ratios, my three fractions. I want to see what these are equivalent to. 10 divided by 8, 1.25. 20.8 divided by 11.9, 1.75. 24 divided by 16, 1.5. They're all different. And even if two of the three would have been the same, they were still different. So unless all three of them give you the exact same value, it is not similar. So these two trapezoids are not similar. Their sides are not proportional. So the first four problems on your homework are just like this. You're going to set up the fractions, see what the fractions are equal to, decide if they're similar or not similar. So that's this one. Now the next four, we know they're similar and we're finding scale factor. So let's look at the next four. Each polygon is similar. So since they're similar, we know they're going to be proportional. Find the scale factor. And we're doing the scale factor. We want to make sure it's smaller to larger. So we want to make sure we have the smaller number first compared to the larger number. So that's how we're going to write our scale factor, smaller to larger. Well, the numbers are the same here. I'm going to put the 24 first because that's the smaller one. It's smaller than 30. I'm going to go ahead and write it as a fraction first, and then go ahead and reduce the fraction. They both divide by 6. So I get 4 over 5. So therefore, my scale factor is 4 to 5. So this is the relationship between these two shapes. Scale factor is the reduced relationship. So 6, you don't have to do both. I'm going to pick the smaller, 9 and 12. You could have also done 18 and 24. It's going to give you the exact same number. So I'm going to go 9 on top, because remember it's smaller to larger. They both divide by 3, so I get 3 over 4. So my scale factor then, 3:4. So my two rectangles there have a 3 to 4 scale factor, 3 to 4. Next two. 7, 8. Now be really careful to get this one lined up, right? I've got a 9 here, but that's the smallest side. This is the smallest side, so I can't use the 9. I've got a 24 and a 24.3. I've got an 8 and an 8.1. I'm going to use this one and this one just because it's easier to reduce the fraction. So I'm going to put the 8 on top, because remember it's small to large. 24 on bottom. Reduce 8 over 24. They both divide by 8. I get 1 over 3. So my scale factor is 1 to 3. 1 to 3. Number 8, again, be really careful to get these lined up right. The 25s go with the 30s here. This 35, it doesn't have a map, so I can't use the 35. So 25 over 30, they both divide by 5. I get 5 over 6. So my scale factor is 5 to 6. So again, on these four, you're going to pick one of the sides that match. Write a fraction. Make sure the fraction is small to large. Small on top, big on bottom. Reduce it, write the scale factor. So that's these four. The next four, 9, 10. Now, if you remember from last week, we spent a lot of time solving proportions. And that's what we're going to do here, is we're going to solve a proportion. But first, we got to set up the proportion. So wherever there's a question mark here, I'm going to go ahead and put an X. So I want to write a proportion comparing these two parallelograms. You've got to keep consistent. So 30 is the smaller side on this one. So I'm going to put 30 on top. Over, looking at this one, 6 is the smaller one. So I'm going to put 6 on bottom. And then I can do 40 over x. So there's my proportion. Cross multiply the same as we did last week. So 30x equals 240. Divide by 30, x equals 8. So therefore, this is 8. So I have a parallelogram with side 6, 8, a parallelogram with side 30, 40, which makes sense because both of them would end up reducing the same. If I multiply this by 5, I get 40. If I multiply this by 5, I get 30. So it's proportional. So 10, same thing. Put an x where the question mark is. This x is the smallest side on this rectangle. This 20 is the smallest side on that rectangle. So I'm going to do x over 20. Then I can do 8 over 32. I need to cross multiply to figure out what my value is. So 32x equals 160. Divide by 32, x equals 5. So x is 5. And yeah, 5, if I multiply by 4, I get 20. 8, if I multiply by 4, I get 32. So it makes sense. So you're setting up a proportion based on the shapes. Solve the proportion to solve for x. Now I've got 2 more like this. So next 2. Here's my x. 24 looks smaller than the x. When I look at this shape, 20 is smaller than 35. So then I can go x over 35. So there's my proportion. Multiply your diagonals. 20x equals 24 times 35. I get 840. Divide by 20. I get 42. So this is 42. So I've got one that's a 24 and a 42, my other that's a 20 and a 35. Both of those, if I were to reduce them, this would divide by 5, I get 4, 7. This would divide by 6, I get 4, 7. So it worked out. Last one on this set. Now, if you notice, these 4s are the same. I know these sides don't quite look the same, but they are. So those match, which means these 2 are going to match. So the 8's going to go with the 4. So the 14 is going to go with the x. Set them equal, cross multiply. 8x, 56. So x must be 7. So this is 7. And yeah, 14 cut in half is 7. 8 cut in half is 4. So I've got proportional sides for my trapezoid. I've got proportional sides. The last 4 are the exact same thing. The only difference is they're more of an equation. So last 4 to go. 13, 14. Same as what we did on the first 4 up there. We're still going to set up a proportion. So 3x minus 4. That's the smaller side. Put it over 4, because that's the smaller side. Then 35 over 7. Cross multiply. Make sure when you cross multiply, it's 7 times all of this. 35 times 4 is 140. Distribute the 7. So 21x minus 28 equals 140. Now I've got to add the 28. So 21x equals 168. So I get 168 there. Divide, I get 8. Now all of these should give you a whole number. If you don't get a whole number, something went wrong. There are no decimals in this stuff. There's no decimals at all. So x is 8. This guy. Now you got to be really careful. The x minus 2, This one is going to line up with this one. So 48x minus 2 equals, these two sides I know both. This one and this one are what it would be, but I don't know this one, the smaller one, which means I can't use this one. It's the smaller of the two. So I'm going to go 36 over 6. And like I said, that's the trickiest thing, is just getting the proportion set up right. Once you get the proportion set up right, from there it's the algebra. So do your cross multiplication. 36 times x minus 2. Don't forget to put x minus 2 in parentheses. And then 48 times 6. I get 288. Distribute the 36. Add the 72. I get 360. So 36x equals 360. Divide by 36, x equals 10. So the x is 10. I'm not saying that the side's 10, I'm saying that x is 10. So x is 10. Any questions on, or of course I can't say if there's any questions. So that's number 14. 2 to go.
So yeah, the relationship is not very pretty right now between us.
Last two.
And maybe it's just me, because I don't think you like me.
I've got two different triangles here. I know all three numbers on both of them. Well, the first thing I'm going to do is figure out what this one lines up with. It's the longest side. Looking up here, the 48 is the longest side. So I'm going to start with that. 48 over 5x plus 10. The other two numbers, I'm just going to pick the smaller one over the smaller one, because those are the sides that are going to line up. Do your cross multiplication. Don't forget to distribute, so you want to put the 5x minus 10 in parentheses, or 5x plus 10. 48 times 20 is going to be 960. Distribute the 24, so 120x plus 240 equals 960. Subtract the 240, I get 720. Divide by 120, I get 6. So therefore, x is 6. Now, I'm not saying the side is 6. If I wanted to know this side, I would have to plug it back in. 5 times 6 is 30. 30 plus 4 is 10 is 40. So the side is 40, if I needed to know that. Last one. X plus 4 is going to go with 20. Equals 28 over 35. Do your cross multiplication. So 35, put x plus 4 in parentheses. 28 times 20 is 560. So there's my setup. Distribute the 35. So 35x, 4 times 35 is 140. Equals 560. Subtract, so 560 subtract 140, I get 420. Divide by 35, I get 12. And again, I'm not saying that the side is 12. I'm saying that if I plug 12 back in here, 12 plus 4 is 16. The side is 16, x is 12. And x is what I'm looking for. X is what I'm looking for there. So, these are your notes for similar polygons. The homework is just like this. Just like it. So, if you take the time to watch the video, fill out the notes, you get extra credit. Doing that should help you with the homework. It should help you with the homework. And then don't forget that the other assignment that goes with the same days is the quiz for the trapezoid kites. And that's on Math Excel. Now, all of this isn't due until Sunday night. Because like I said, I kind of had a goof last week, so I'm giving you a little extra time. Plus, I'm not here Wednesday for office hours. So I'm giving you a little bit more time for this stuff. So have a wonderful rest of the day. I will let you guys go. Bye-bye.